Let me read to you a short story. This short story is entitled Other Side. Read with me. One beautiful evening, Xander and his mother were stargazing outside. They were very amazed with the presence of many stars. But since the night was already late, they needed to head home and to take a rest. His mother said, "Let's sleep now because tomorrow is another day." There was a moment of silence. And suddenly, Xander asked, "Mommy, why do we have night and day?" The short story illustrates an astronomical phenomenon that needs an explanation of how the universe works. In this lesson, you will know and understand the origins of Earth, the solar system, and the universe. Earth was once thought to be unique, different in every way from anything else in the universe. However, through the discoveries of the people before us, we have better understanding that the physical laws that apply on Earth seem to apply everywhere in the universe. In this lesson, you will examine the transformation from the ancient view of the universe, which focused on the positions and movements of celestial objects, to the modern perspective, which focuses on understanding how these objects came to be and why they move the way they do. You will also explore why and how things move the way they do, and the different laws that describe the motion of objects. You will also recognize and appreciate the everyday usage of physics.
Good morning, class! Today is another fun learning day. How do you like to know about the ideas of the Greek philosopher Aristotle on motion? Aristotle, whose name means the best purpose in ancient Greek, was also a teacher. He founded his own school in Athens known as the Lyceum. He made pioneering contribution to all the fields of philosophy and science. An observation, description of motion on different objects on Earth, in the sky, in the atmosphere, and in the whole universe preoccupied early people. And what are these observations? Early people noticed the movements of the sun, the moon, and other various objects in the sky. They noticed the rising of the sun in the east and its setting on the west. They also observed that the moon rises in the east and sets in the west. The sun and the moon rise in the east and sets in the west. Early people noticed that. This motion gave them the basic definition of day and night. The ancient Greeks thought there were two types of motion that is considered to be independent of each other: the terrestrial motion and celestial motion. The idea of the Greeks regarding the terrestrial motion was highly influenced by the thoughts of Aristotle. Aristotle's philosophy was far more speculative than experiment. In Aristotle's world, everything on earth had its appointed place and function. He believed that every object on this world can be categorized under four elements: the earth, and on top of that is water, and on top of water is air, and on top of air is fire. Note the level of succession. That's what Aristotle's idea. But in our culture today, people typically believe on the current understanding of motion, simply because we live after the time of the physicist Isaac Newton. World where motion can be described in everyday terms. Let's say, for example, miles per hour, and we recognize this as speed. Miles on top is the measure of distance, and we also knew that hour is the measure of time. So let's say 30 miles per hour. You traveled 30 miles per hour. So 30 miles per hour is the miles you go for an hour. That explains correctly about motion, which we experience every day. It's different from Aristotle's idea on motion. But class, even though Aristotle's ideas on motion are different from our understanding of motion today, they are also significant. And today, we are going to study that. Now let us study the three types of terrestrial motion, namely natural motion, force motion, and rest, as mentioned and written by Bayu Am 2016. Natural motion was the result of the movement of things seeking its natural place, or it is tending to go to where they belong. Force motion, on the other hand, requires an intervention of an outside mover. And those things that do not require any force are allowed to sit still or at rest. Now, Aristotle's first idea was natural placed. He believed that everything on the world is made up of four things. The four elements. As I have mentioned a while back, that there are four elements: the earth, the water, the air, and the fire. He said that everything on the world is made up of these four elements, or some combination of things. Now, Aristotle believed that everything on earth tends to go towards its natural place. Take, for example, this rock. What do you think will happen if I let go of this? Will it float? What else will it do if I release it? Okay, observe what happened. Of course it will naturally fall down. Now, Aristotle believed that such rocks or anything or earthly things will go down to their natural place. The water, which sits on top of the ocean floor, is what it thinks, which is observed on the succession of the four elements: earth, then water, because he observed that water sits on top of the ocean floor, which is the dirt. And rock, which is considered an earthy thing, will naturally go below the water. It will sink below the water. As I've said, it is shown on the succession of the four elements, as believed by Aristotle. Air is on top of water. Above the ocean is the air. And on top of the air is fire. That is why, according to Aristotle, the sun would be up the sky. And Aristotle thought that things move because they are seeking their natural place. Remember this rock? You held it in your hand and you drop it. It will naturally fall down. Now, Aristotle believed the rock fell down because it is seeking its natural place. But of course, it's different from our understanding today that it is because of the pull of the gravity. Now, another Aristotle's idea was the concept of impetus. Impetus is a certain force where the body or a thing moves in a direction, whether it be upward, sideward, downward, or in a circle where the mover starts in. And the body or the thing will fall down until the impetus is gone. So the impetus drives the movement of a thing. That's what Aristotle believed.
In Aristotle's mind, if you threw a rock, say you throw it in this direction, it would move in that direction until the impetus you gave is gone, and then it would fall down the earth. So that path it will take through the air would look like this. And that obviously is incorrect. Because we knew that it will move something like this. And the path through the air is mathematically what we call a parabola. And that's how actually they behave. They don't behave according to the ideas of impetus that Aristotle thought. Aristotle also talked about force and motion. His ideas was this. He believed that the force required keep an object moving. Now the idea is not really unreasonable. If you have the floor here and you have a back sitting on the floor and you push it, you push after the backs. That make the backs move. And when you stop pushing the backs, it stops moving. So it certainly seems like a force is required to keep the object moving. It's not that simple though. What really stops the back is the friction between the backs and the floor, or scraping against the floor, or the friction slows it. Now, if there were no friction through the backs,
it will continue to slide. But Aristotle thought the force was required to keep it moving. That idea caused him to resort to some fairly apt explanation. You imagine an arrow being shot on the air. As it goes to the air spread out around it like this. And Aristotle thought that what kept it moving in the air, closing behind here, pushing it so the air enclosed around, and the air would push the arrow. That idea is completely wrong. But he thought of that because he thought that the force is required to keep an object moving. And the last idea of Aristotle that we are going to look into is his idea on the motion of the earth. He thinks that the earth does not move. The earth sits still. The earth is stationary. And all other planetary and other celestial bodies, sun, moon, and even the asteroids move around it. Now, it's not that unreasonable because you see the sun and moon, we observe it every day, rises in the east and sets in the west. Yes, it is indeed moving, right? But of course, that's not correct. We believe that the sun is the center of the universe, where the moon and all other planets, including the earth, moves around the sun. And we call that the heliocentric model. And what Aristotle believed is what we call the geocentric model. Geocentric, geo means earth and centric means center. The earth is the center of the universe. Now, this belief of Aristotle is nothing, it's not actually unreasonable because we see every day that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. We see it every day. It's moving across the sky. See, it's like it's nothing near to what we believe on today. But it's not correct, of course. So as we see it every day, it seems like these objects, the sun, the moon, seems moving across the sky around the earth, and it seems like the earth is sitting still. So Aristotle wasn't foolish to think that, because it certainly is, as it is observed. But of course, that's not correct. Now class, I want you to look at these two cosmological models, the geocentric model and the heliocentric model. Geocentric model is what Aristotle and the early Greeks believed to be true. And of course, today, we believe on the heliocentric model, where the sun is the center of the universe, and all the planets, the moon, revolve around it. Heliocentric model, the earth is in the center of the universe, where the sun and moon and other planets revolve around it. Studied in both class. seems like it's just so easy for you answering those 10 multiple choice questions. Because if you listen well, you can easily answer those 10 multiple choice questions. Okay, now what have you learned? Can we have a short summary of your learning today? Of course, we understood that the understanding of or the points of view of Aristotle on motion laid off or paid off the right understanding of motion, and that's we believe about motion today. Now, we experience motion in everyday experiences. We see it in our basic movements like from cooking, running, walking, and anything that we perform on this earth, even up to the cellular level of any species. The movement of the nutrients across the cell, and even the movements of the oxygen and water across our body. Those are motion. And how important motion is? Motion is significant.
Motion is life.
day studying those Aristotle's views on motion. It is indeed significant. It is not foolish at all to understand those Aristotle's points of view on motion. Now, can I get a thumbs up if you learned something new today? Okay, I see those thumbs up, and I'm happy because we all learned standing on a spherical earth, and I want you to write a paragraph stating a reason explaining that the earth is spherical. Okay. I know you can do that. I always believe in you, class. Okay. Thank you for your time today. Time is precious, and we should devote it to some worthwhile thing. What worthwhile thing is that? It's learning. Learning is fun, class. Once again, this is your teacher, Marisol. It has been my pleasure to teach. See you again, class.
want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too.